His face is a little sunken in. If I look closely, it reminds me of a ship at the bottom of the Indian Ocean, a little lifeless, a little barren, with a long story to tell that only a few people know. The drugs caused that. Heroin had his love long before I did. Never would have guessed that when I met him, but watching him concentrate on something for longer than 5 seconds, it makes sense. He's the love of my life. I've never felt like this with anyone before. When I look at him, I smell the morning after a heavy rain has fallen on a field of sweet corn. The wet earth, the warm, crisp smell of the corn, the lingering scent of rain in the air. When I look at him, I hear tires on a gravel road, or the distinct sound of a metal wrench landing on cement. Sometimes, the wrench gets thrown and it clanks a few times before something else brings it to a stop. Or sometimes he's just so determined to get on to the next thing, he simply lets it fall to the concrete, giving one single sharp clatter. It took me exactly 6 months to realize that when he left in the morning, he wasn't going to work. He was going to see his wife. No, his wife wasn't another woman, although some days I think it would be easier to handle. His wife is a wrench, or more specifically, a toolbox full of wrenches, and ratchets, and sockets, and drivers, and pry bars. It took me 6 months to realize that while he'd quit injecting himself with poison from a needle, he'd replace the rush with something seemingly less harmful. He's a self-taught mechanic. His grandfather did it back in his hometown, and most of his friends did it because they worked on their own trucks, so he decided to do it too. He's never gone to school for it, but by God, he can talk about engines for the next 3 weeks without a break. He used to say I love you before he left for work in the morning. It's not that he doesn't say it now, it's just that it's changed. He used to say I love you like it was important, like he couldn't finish his task until he said it and made sure I'd heard. When he said I love you, I heard wedding bells and I could see the flash of the next 50 years of my life. But it changed. Now he says I love you as he heads for the door in the morning, tossing it over his shoulder as if he was asking me to take out the trash before I go to work. It's hollow, and instead of wedding bells, I hear an echo. The same kind of hollow echo you hear when you're standing in an empty closet, talking to yourself about why you're standing in an empty closet. I know he means it, I don't question that. But when he says I love you now, I don't hear I love you more than life itself, and I want to spend the rest of my years beside you, watching each other grow. Now all I hear is, can you finish the laundry so I have clean work clothes? And by the way, I won't be coming home until 11:30 because something on my truck needs fixed, and I don't care that you want to see me. I love you doesn't feel like home anymore. Now I love you feels like a false promise that's never going to happen.